Hey everyone, Kroll here, and today I wanted to make a video about scouting your GAC opponent. Scouting, for those of you unfamiliar, is the process of taking data from different points and combining it all into a detailed overview of how your opponent plays. As you guys know, Crystal Income has been moved over to the Grand Arena Championship, so doing well in that event is essential to bringing in more crystals than you did before and taking your account to the next level. Although this video is a bit long so we can cover the key points for first-time users, I want to ensure you that you can narrow this test down to a 5 to 10 minute process that can ultimately net you more crystals than you've been getting at this point. With that, let's dive in. Alright, to start off, we need to go in game and we need to get information from our GAC opponent. So we can do this by either going over here to the championship table, or we can hit it from the arena table. So click on arena table, we're going to click Grand Arena, and then we're going to click review event, or we're going to click current event, whichever's going on right now. And then we're going to click on the icon for the opponent we're trying to scout. From here, we're pulling some key data. We're getting the ally code at the bottom of the page. We're getting the guild name at the top right, and then we're getting the name of the opponent top left. Additionally, we're getting fleet data, and we're getting the data for the tunes that they have. So clicking on the tunes that they have, we see that he's got 4 GLs, he's got a bunch of relic characters, all the key tunes. So this is the first step to say, okay, so I sort of know what we're dealing with here. And then again, there's the fleet there. So with all these data points, we're able to use the next 4 tools, which are Omegabot, Hot Utils, swgoh.gg, and an Excel document I made that I'm sharing with you guys here. The first tool we're going to talk about today is Omegabot. Omegabot has a free version and a patron subscription. The big difference here, aside from getting more data and more in-depth analysis, is for the free version, you're only going to be able to pull the last 6 GAC matches your opponent played. And you're going to get 3 charts that are basically going to give you almost all the information you need for scouting, which is going to be what teams do they set on defense, what teams do they take to attack, what teams do they normally face, and with all that information, it's going to give us how do they do. Do they struggle against certain teams? Do they do extremely well and get max banners against certain teams? So to start this off, we're going to go down and enter a slash command, and it's going to be the scout GAC command. And the first thing it's going to ask you for is the enemy ally code, which we pulled from earlier when we went and clicked on the icon of our opponent. So for this guy, we're going to do 183, 296, 457, and we're going to hit enter. It's going to take a second. So Omegabot is known mostly for mods and getting reports on how your mods are, where you're at compared to other things. A lot of guilds still use mod reporting to find out if you're a good player, are you someone we should avoid. Whether you agree or disagree with that, it's a pretty useful tool. But I find the scouting version of this to be a lot more useful for me in figuring out what my opponents are up to. So it'll take a couple seconds to get the queue, and here we are, we got it. So showing me either Kiss queued to unlock more than 2 weeks, 6 rounds, I'd have to go ahead and subscribe to their patron. So we're gonna go ahead and just click on this link. I'm gonna go ahead and open the original. And then here, we're gonna get an idea of all the information it has. All right, so zooming into the data, and here are the 3 charts I was talking about. We have defenses used by my opponent, offenses used by my opponent, and the teams faced by my opponent. So starting up here, we have 12 teams here of the 11 that he can set, meaning to me that he likes to let his defenses roll. He doesn't really change things. Same that ships uses the same 2 ships on defense. One key thing to know about how this chart works, the graph works, these numbers 3, 2, 4, 5, these are the amount of battles of the 6 that took place of the 2-week interval. So key thing here is if you do not take part in a battle against a team, it's not going to populate the data because there's no data to populate. So Revan, GBA, Treya, they might have all been set 6 times. GG Talzin might have been set 6 times. Dash and Karth might have been set 6 times. But because his opponent did not attack these teams, it's not showing us that data. So keep that in mind. Defenses for my guy, Dash, he has a good Dash team. And he's got some banner stealing teams here. And, defense-wise, it checks out for him. Against his 6 opponents that he had, he did a pretty good job here on defense. Looking down here at offense, he has a whole bunch of different teams at his arsenal for his disposal. And, aside from one hiccup with Palp and a little bit JKR, Banner's lost, he knows what he's doing on offense. He's got, Firehouses, Maulmandos, see, all of his GLs are here, obviously. So, as an offense-heavy player, he can pretty much fold clear anyone he faces. Interesting enough, looking over here at ships, we got Akbar, Windu, Tarkin. So what this suggests to me is that most of his opponents place Executor on defense. As a matter of fact, all of them probably placed it on defense. And he uses one of these three in order to get the Executor to go through its abilities and put them all on cooldown, and then he'll come in with Malevolence and get that 2-shot and clear the team. Finalizer is his go-to to clear the secondary ship that's there, mostly because his Negotiator is up here on defense. So, and then lastly, teams faced by my opponent. So this is where you choose what your defense you're going to use. Unfortunately for me, scouting this guy, the teams he faces, he can beat easily. Again, this comes with him being an offense-heavy player. So it didn't really give me any teams that he struggles with. He struggled a little bit with the massage lead, but that's not really a big defining factor for a team that can get to stall him and get the win that way. He's just a good player. He's good at all the teams he plays. Looking over here, faces Negotiator. He does pretty well here. That's probably when he has Malevolence. Chimera does well, and the rest of these he does pretty well. Quickly to go over here, we have attack timing, what time your opponent attacks during the day. Don't really care about that. Mod comparison, don't really care about that for the purpose of scouting. I get that information elsewhere. And then down here, there's a whole bunch of different data on what teams were used on offense, what teams were used on defense, how many banners it got, etc. But for the most part, what you care about here are the 3 charts, and that is really going to make a big difference in winning the GAC round, in my opinion. The second tool we're going to go over today is the Hot Utils tool, specifically Hotbot version 2. For those familiar with Hotbot and how it works, you know how the version 1 bot works, you use it in your servers, and you know how the website works. So at a later date, I am going to do a more in-depth analysis or video on Hot Utils and how it works and what all it can provide to you. But for the sake of this video, we're going to focus on the version 2 bot because a lot of people are unfamiliar with it. You can go ahead and you can DM this guy from searching for him or going over to Hot Sauce's server, finding a post from V2, and then DMing the bot himself. And then from there, you can run everything from your DMs. You don't have to be in the server to use it. It's all done here. V2, the big difference between V2 and V1 is now it's a slash command bot. All the bots on Discord are having to move over to slash commands, so all the comma, dash, $ prefixes are going away. And for a lot of bots, it already has. So, an example of how to run this in V2, we're going to do a slash. We're going to start typing in compare for compare GAC. We're going to get the options for only current, which is going to be our main account or alt. If you have a second account associated with your hot utils, you can go ahead and get the data for your opponent on your alt account. We're going to go ahead and run only current, and then options true or false. You hit true, it's going to give you just you versus your opponent. If you get false, it's going to give you all 8 players in that bracket. So for the sake of time, we're going to skip that. I've already ran the command. Here is it running. Here's it giving me the GG link while I'm waiting for the data to populate. And then lastly, it populates the data like you'd see in any of the other bots. From here, we're going to go ahead and click it, open original, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the data given to us. Alrighty, so zooming into this data, a key to know before we go into this, if you see green highlights or red highlights, what this means is that if it's green over here, that means you beat your opponent in a certain category. If it's red over here, then they beat you in that category. Gray is irrelevant, it's the comparison data. So let's go ahead and go through. We got our profile information, we have our GAC info, we have a summary of our account. So this is where it shows what GP you have, the breakdown of GPs, how you doing in your arenas, Omnicrons you have equipped, the amount of Zetas you have equipped, your relic characters, you have mod analysis, the amount of speed 25 plus mods, the amount of speed 2024, amount of offense 6% or more. We got our relic analysis here, how many relic characters you have and what relic level they are. Moving down to the meta tab, this is where all your GLs are going to be. So for this comparison, we have the same GLs. I like to use this tab a lot because for me, speed does matter on some of these mirror matches or some of the battles I'm going to do, depending on who opens, what they open with. So it's a good point to understand that portion. Moving down to key characters, this is user defined. I just had the default on here. So pretty much evenly matched, had the same things for the most part. He does not have Cam. Neither of us have Star Killer. Both of us have Dad Bod Boba. And then lastly, we have ships down here, and then even here it's an evenly matched with the exception of I have the R9 kicker on Piet, so I will outrun there. But that's about it in a nutshell. It's pretty self-explanatory and easy to get through. But if you do have access to Hot Utils, this is a great tool to help you get the information you need to scout your opponent. Alrighty guys, the final tool I want to go over with you is one I created. It's an Excel document. The whole purpose of it is to take the time that it's going to take you to scout your opponent from 15, 20, 30 minutes down to the 5, 10 minutes that it's taking me. This tool has been essential to me to do that, and it's just super easy and quick to use. So going over it, the first tab is your instructions on how I intended for you to use it. The playground tab is just a brainstorming tab, so you can list your tunes, your teams, make notes about mods, or mix and match tunes on the teams, anything that can remind you to edit something or a better chance to win the GAC. That's what this page is for. Command Center is the main tab, so there's a bunch of different stuff here. So we have where you're going to place all of your teams. We have the defensive zones that you have to set. This is set for Kyber, and then the teams you're going to bring with you on offense. So starting here, you're going to place all your teams, and you're going to come to this drop down. You're going to decide, is this an offense team, a defense team, a flex team, or a bench team? So examples: offense, you're bringing with you to attack. Defense, you're gonna set it on defense. Flex means it can either go to defense or offense. You're not sure yet, so you just want to keep it to the side until you confirm what you're definitely putting on defense and what you're definitely bringing with you on offense. And then last are benches. So like down here, I had Iden originally benched. I had Tarkin benched. Iden's 5-star, like gear 8, Imperial Remnants that don't have leads for her to use her abilities. They're all, low gear. But let's say, for example, my opponent tripped up on someone's Iden, low gear Iden on a back wall. So I go, okay, so we'll go ahead and take her off the bench and we'll move her up to defense, allowing us to take another team that would have been defense, and we go ahead and move it to offense. So once you decide on that, what you're going to set for your 11 or whatever division you're in, what you're going to set for those zones, and then what you're going to bring on offense. Which, real quick, offense is, again, just copy and pasting the column here. The whole point of this is a visual target. So you know what defenses they're going to set, or you have an idea. Now you're taking your offense teams, and you're going to say, okay, I'm bringing JML to counter their JMK or SLKR. I'm bringing C to counter their Ray. So once that's all filled out and done, we're going to go over to GAC Battlefield. So this is just a cleaner visual representation of what your defense is going to look like. We included ships on this tab. We got our front, top, front, bottom, back, bottom. Super simple. You're going to go ahead, go to Command Center, paste your defenses in the zones they go in. Ships, you're going to put your capital ship, your entry ships, and then your reinforcements for your 2 defense zones. And once you look at it, visualize it, you're happy with the defenses, that's when you're going to go ahead and go into the game and put these teams on defense. So this tool is going to be in my Google Docs. It's going to be in a link in the video. Feel free to download it, tweak it, manipulate it, do whatever you want to it to meet your GAC division, to better help you. That's the whole point of this. And if you don't want to use it, by all means, don't use it. It's just a tool that I use that has helped me go at least 2 wins each GAC, or for the most part 3 wins each GAC, get back up to Kyber 1 and be in a safe spot, and bring in all these crystals just from this one little Excel document. So completely up to you, but I think it's a pretty good tool to use with all the other ones. Alrighty, guys, and that pretty much wraps up this video. Like, subscribe if you haven't, if you enjoyed the content. What I'll leave you guys with is GAC's a big deal now with crystals moving over there. Players that never tried, never cared, they're trying now. They're caring now. They want their crystal income. Um, and if you're a player that wants that crystal income, but you're not taking these steps to scout, I highly, highly suggest that you start doing it, because it could honestly be the difference between you winning or losing, getting that minimal loss of crystals or getting the 800, 900 crystals for a win. And it's super simple, as you guys saw. There's nothing super difficult about it. It's just look up your opponent, take the time to do your due diligence, make a plan, design a strategy, and implement it. And hopefully you guys get the win. So thanks again for checking it out, and we will talk to you guys soon. Take care.